In so many ways, we have all lived unexamined lives. We've all been lost in the dream of who we are and what the world is, as if we've all been, in many ways, dreamers, just dreaming our way through life, imagining that it's real, a kind of mixture of the Truman Show and the Matrix. So I don't know whether you're familiar with either of those, but I think a sort of blend of the two speaks to us. And, you know, I mean, most people, quite frankly, are going through life in the unexamined state all their lives. This is reality. This is normality. This is life as we know it. But then, you know, less and less now, because things are so fragmented and things are breaking up so much on so many different levels, a flooding of a different energy coming up through us and, you know, maybe coming into us in a kind of symbiotic sort of way. So there's much more now availability, and I would say imperative, you know, for us to move out of the age, the long age of the unexamined life, and to start moving into a life of examination. And I don't mean examination in some kind of rigorous sort of way, but I mean the willingness to turn our attention to what is it that's making us work? What is it that's hiding in the shadows? Who are we really? Are we just dreamers imagining we're in reality? Can we much more self-actualize? You know, what is our natural state? What is the thinking mind that tyrannizes us and the world so much? Who really are we? And so the shift from, you know, in many ways, the long age of the unexamined life is drawing to a close. It may not look like it, of course, but I think it's drawing to a close. And that's why so many people are discovering their suffering, and so many people are discovering a light within. So many people are becoming dissatisfied with not only the external but the internal fragmentation that's they've discovered, you know, that is their life. Many more are turning towards a kind of more holistic kind of way of being. Many are being affected, are being shaken up in so many ways, shaken up on the worldly level, shaken up on the existential level, shaken up on the emotional level, and for sure shaken up on the spiritual level. You know, to me, we have to be careful to not jump into yet another delusion of fifth dimension or, you know, golden age too much. You know, that might come later, that might come at some point, but for us who have incarnated at this time, you know, maybe we're the bridge on some level, you and I. Maybe we're the bridge between the unexamined and the free, and in that space is the capacity and willingness for us to meet both the darkness and shadow within and the darkness and the shadow within the world. Ultimately, they're the same thing. But, that's a pretty demanding warrior's kind of task, to be those ones. The ones who say, well, I don't, that feels, that way of being feels like it's coming to an end. But if there's a new way of being, a much more enlightened way of being, then it's not just going to happen. I imagine that's just a speculation, of course, that it's not just going to happen like, oh, suddenly we're in the golden age or in the enlightened age. It doesn't work like that, as far as I can see. It's going to be a process, a journey. And we're either at the beginning, middle, or somewhere on that journey. And we are called, you and I, to have a deeper courage, the courage to come out of the age of the unexamined self, the unexamined mind, the unexamined life, the unexamined emotional, karmic, ancestral body, to be those ones. Not just to think about it for ourselves. How can I get enlightened? How can I be free of my suffering? But to have the capacity within ourselves to, to be the bridge, to be the warriors, to be, as if in many ways the first, the ones who kind of give themselves to that journey, give themselves to the fire of the shift, the very energetic shift from the unexamined to the liberated, that in-between kind of phase. Because the people that I work with, many of all different ages, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 50, 60-year-olds, are showing the signs of a deep discomfort with what has been, to use that cliche, of what has been, and are being stirred and drawn like moths to a flame to something deeper and more authentic, expression of ourselves. And that comes at a cost, at least for our age, our era, our paradigm, the paradigm of unexamination, the paradigm of suppression, the paradigm of the shadow that's emerging, not to tyrannize us, but to invite us into a more whole way of being that includes what might be called the darkness or the shadow. But it's only the power of the shadow, the power of the darkness is in its denial, is in turning away from it. That's what gives it its power in that sense. Because when we allow such things into our orbit, into our awareness, into our love, into our life, they stop being denied. They stop being things that we deny, and in that, we return to an integrity. It's our lack of integrity that maintains the shadow, because we've got something to hide. So we're hiding these aspects of ourselves, which is quite insane if you think about it. You see it everywhere. People who are politicians, for instance, all sorts of people in the public eye who have this sort of veneer of a certain light or a certain way. Well, they seem to be whoever they are. And then it's revealed, years later or a little while later, that they've got this dark side to them that is like almost the complete opposite of who they appear to be. That's, It's that way of living, that way of being. That's the unexamined mind. That's the unexamined self. They've kind of given allegiance to the split within, because the power or the fame or the money or the whatever it is was so appealing, they sort of sold their soul. That's selling your soul, is a lack of integrity within. And I think what I'm saying, and I think what I'm seeing, is that at some point, that age, that paradigm is going to run its course. It's already running its course, and it's going to come to an end. But it comes to an end now in you, and it comes to an end now in me. Not through solution, but through willingness. The willingness to face oneself, primarily. To face the darkness and shadow and pain and suffering that one has continually turned away from during one's life, imagining that the whole gig, the whole of the life, the whole of the dream, all of the self-constructed self was real. To realize it wasn't real. Not real. It was an imagination. We got lost in the imagination of ourselves. And that starts to come undone. It takes a great deal of courage, takes a great deal of softness, takes a huge amount of kindness and tenaciousness and persistence, and a great amount of surrender. And I still don't really know anybody who hasn't got those qualities. They just need to be loved a bit more. A willingness to face the fire within. I just wanted to jump on and say those things. So bless you.